The league is not ready for what the Detroit Pistons are doing after having not only what looks like the league MVP in Cade Cunningham, but what a young rising star in Ausar Thompson has brought to not only the defensive end, but to the entire mold of this Detroit Pistons team as he continues to show shades of DPOY candidacy and so much more to the table, which has completely reshaped on how this Pistons team operates. And we're going to break down everything on why Ausar Thompson is looking like the MVP, what the Pistons have done to the rest of the NBA, and so much more in this episode. So let's just dive straight into it today, when we know the Detroit Pistons have been quite hot, ending multiple win streaks. The New York Knicks before the All-Star break, just to hand them another loss at MSG as they continue to dominate not only the Eastern Conference, but the rest of the NBA, and it all falls on the back of the young star coming through, where we can see post-game following the Knicks, Rob understands something here that even a lot of Pistons fans still don't get. After Cade, Ausar is what makes this team special. You literally can't run a pick and roll against him. He blows up every team's offense. Ausar Thompson is what makes the Pistons a legit title contender. Now, diving in, a lot of Pistons fans, including myself, we understand not only is Ausar Thompson a good defender, but he is one, if not the best defender in the NBA when it comes down to shutting down any star opponent that he will be faced up heading through, and the numbers back it up. Ausar has been a PNR's worst nightmare this season, and diving through on the numbers on what he can do is absolutely insane. Fewest points be direct allowed by ball handler defenders on picks this season. Ausar Thompson sits at the very top at not only one of the most in PNRs when it comes to the primary defender, but he only allows 0.83 points. And we can see Ron Holland at the bottom as well at 91%. These two have been huge for this team as the season progresses. And yes, I understand there's offensive limitabilities when it becomes between the two guys, but even looking at the games versus the New York Knicks, when going into MSG, where we've seen Cade set a feat that no one else other than LeBron has done since 2006. Of course, the 42, 8 and 13, that was the headline. The I'm the best American-born point guard. Of course, Cade showed up, and he proved that not only is he the best, but he's also one of the best players across the entire NBA. But diving into Ausar Thompson with the 10 points, 7 rebounds, we can dive further in through. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. This is the type of player that is completely reshaped on how we view this team moving forward, when, of course, Cade Cunningham is going to be the vocal point on your offensive end. But what we have seen Ausar Thompson bring has been insane. Looking at the numbers, Ausar Thompson's last 8 games, 6 steals, 3, 2, 4, 2, 2, 1, and 3, leading the NBA in steals per game since January 1st, and also second in the NBA. When looking at the rest of the season, I understand, Pistons fans, we know how good this guy is, but I don't think we truly understand what he brings to the table and what he unlocks for the Pistons, not only this season being young, but what he brings year after year. Looking at the rebound, 71 in the entire NBA, 86th percentile, 70th in minutes, 73rd in assists, of course, the offensive limitations. But when looking at the steals, 99th percentile at 1.9 per game, leading the league since January as well, ranked 5th across the entire NBA. Ausar Thompson has completely unlocked this defense that we've seen the Pistons, and what has brought them to the league's best, the offensive numbers when it comes to rebounding and defensive rebounds in a league of their own. Looking at the defensive rating, 76th percentile. This is a guy that is bringing the impact, even his offensive impact, an 87th percentile. Yes, he's not going to shoot the ball well. Yes, there is a world where he continues to develop this jumper, but I think at the end of the day, we're looking at a team that, of course, Cade Cunningham is the clear star, the superstar, the franchise player, the league MVP MVP this season, if you ask me. But looking at the shooting splits from Ausar Thompson, a dominant rim threat that he dunks anything, one of the most athletic guys across the NBA. Who would I compare him to? Of course, Amen Thompson. But both of these guys are in a league of their own, playing the position a guard forward that has this jump. Now, when looking at the shooting, in the left corner, 50%, of course, 28 from the other corner, 27 above the break. This is a guy that is going to be a threat as he continues to develop. And if he does develop that three-point shot this season, it's going to completely break the NBA at this point. I mean, looking at the rim, of course, a lot of the numbers in the below percentile, but this is a guy that's not even a secondary ball handler when you're looking at Cade Cunningham, Jenkins, all these guys. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be one of these players that when the national news starts to cover the Pistons, even more than they should be right now, this is it, or even more because they should be covered more now. This is a guy that's going to be underappreciated when looking through. Yes, the 10 points aren't the prettiest, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, but that defensive game that he has brought to the team, and I'm going to touch on Ron Holland because he deserves a lot of credit, but Ausar Thompson has to get some serious votes for Defensive Player of the Year, and this quote alone is just showing that the NBA needs to take this team serious. A lot of people are looking, and I see a lot of people, my friends that aren't Pistons fans, have spoke and said, hey, this is the team that, yes, they can't shoot. This is not what we're worried about. But when looking, blocks per game, first in the entire NBA. Steals per game, 10.6, the best. Once again, the offensive numbers continue to get better. The rebounds rank 5th. There's no flaws. Of course, shooting can be better, but there's no flaws when looking at this team. You can see the wins they've rang off. Of course, that Wizards game was an outlier, but looking at this, you dominate the New York Knicks on their own court. You beat the Toronto Raptors. You end the Hornets win streak. You end the Knicks win streak. And if they even had another one, you ended it the second time. This is a team that is winning almost 70%, 76% of their games, and it's not slowing down. Not only are they the top of the Eastern Conference, this is a team that is sitting as the 1 seed, a team that is continuing to develop, grow. They're a young team with J.B. Bickerstaff doing an incredible job, but looking at this, the point percentage right now, we can see the Pistons are not only dominating, but showing it on the standings, winning over 70% of their games against above 500 teams. And I want to give a shout out to Ron Holland once again. Another young player that is developing on his own and a big part. I only feel bad for a lot of players when you're looking at that. You go into a game, you're getting hounded, you get put in the box by Ausar Thompson, and what happens? You have Ron Holland Jr. to come out immediately after and put on another clinic. Of course, steals 97th percentile, 73, with 38th in the NBA. The blocks per game in the 69th percentile as a wing big, of course. But this is a player that's going to continuously push the edge for this Detroit Pistons team. But what is your guys' thoughts on this? What is your thoughts on the Detroit Pistons this season? Am I over exaggerating how good Ausar Thompson is, or does it feel like at this point, not only is Cade going to be a runner-up or hopefully win an MVP, but Ausar Thompson has a legitimate chance to be crowned the DPOY as this team goes out to hopefully win a championship? Let me know your thoughts down below because I'm just fired up about this, and I'm sure you guys are as well. But let me know your thoughts on everything to do around the Pistons. I love reading through the comments, but I've been your host, Mark. Bye. Go Detroit Basketball.